Okay, here we are. I'm so excited. First conscious creation sessions on a budget. Welcome, everybody. I guess you all know that I'm Christina, and I just want to start with a little bit of gratitude. Super grateful to have you guys with me doing this work. So, thanks for signing up. Thanks for following my posts and stuff. And just want to say thank you to Spirit, because this has been it's been an 8.5 year kind of process for me to put this all together in a way that can work all around. And I've been getting, in the last year especially, a lot more nudges from Spirit to get this going. And I wasn't exactly sure. There were pieces that I knew I was supposed to be working on, but yeah, Sunday it all came together when I was doing muscle testing statements for Peter, my husband, to balance. And so yeah, everybody, thanks for being here. Thanks for your trust and willingness to give this a try. And I really, please give me your feedback. And questions, of course, are always welcome. So we'll talk more about that as we move through all of this information that I'm going to be giving y'all. So I'm just looking at my notes to make sure that I don't forget anything. I have so much to tell you guys that's one of the things that took me so long to get this video made, was that I was making notes on all the things that I wanted to tell y'all, and there just kept being more and more, oh, I need to tell him this, oh, I need to tell him this. So instead of trying to get everything in on this first video, I'm going to start with the most basics and just the bare bones of what you need to know, plus some modifications in the balancing processes for any physical limitations that you have. And then I'm just going to continue to make follow-up videos, maybe once a month-ish. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work out, but periodically I will make a new video of the balancing processes and maybe add some stuff, mention a few extra things that are good to know. So I'll be walking you through your first limit clearing session, and we're using the Moon Salute, which is a series of yoga poses. So I don't want the word yoga to scare anyone away. So if you're not familiar with yoga, if you tried it in the past and it was not your thing, just know that we're going to make modifications. So the reason that we're using, first of all, the reason that we're using yoga is that it was just a tool in my tool belt that I began to use for myself, or I should say, I had been using it for myself, but I figured out a way to incorporate the belief statements and the limit clearing that you do with CatCow in with my daily yoga practice. So I was able to almost every day, or every other day, when I would get to do some yoga, I would muscle test what statements I needed to balance, and then I'd muscle test, can I do the balance using this pose or whatever I was thinking about doing that day. And I found that, I've yet to find a belief statement that can't be balanced with the Moon Salute, and I changed the name of it, added the word goddess to the beginning. So as we go through, I'll be calling it a Goddess Moon Salute balance, or a Goddess Moon Salute process. And so far, I've muscle tested for everybody. Before I send your beliefs to you, here's a copy of the PDF that I sent to you. So each time I'll muscle test to make sure that Goddess Moon Salute can be used with these belief statements that you have. But so far, in over a year of me using this, I've always been able to use a Goddess Moon Salute for any belief statement. When you're doing a private session, we will often get to balance more statements because we can do shorter balances. But because I can't test for you all the different types of balances, and I can't show each individual person the individual balances that are going to be good for them for each individual statement, this Goddess Moon Salute is kind of a blanket balance that so far has worked with all the belief statements that I've ever tried it with, which is a lot. And then my husband will use the sun salutations in the morning. He does his sun salutations and does belief statements that either he muscle tests from a list, or sometimes I'll muscle test for him. These are your ones for the week, so that it's just easier for him and he doesn't have to think about it, and he keeps up with his work. Got to keep that energy moving, right? So yoga is a really good tool for this work for a lot of reasons. The most important one that I'll just mention today is, so the word yoga means union. So it creates union between mind, body, and spirit. It creates union between the two hemispheres of the mind or the brain. So brain hemisphere congruence, which is when both hemispheres are involved equally or almost equally and talking to each other in a really cohesive way. That is an important state to be in to be able to shift subconscious beliefs, and yoga helps create that state in the brain. So that's probably all you need to know right this minute about the physical process of shifting these beliefs. And another reason that I want to use the Goddess Moon Salute is because of the reawakening of the Divine Feminine that's happening at this time. So all of us, no matter what kind of body we're in, are experiencing a reawakening of the Divine Feminine. So we all have that divine energy within us, no matter what our genitalia looks like. And the Divine Feminine for so long has been repressed and suppressed and shamed and, you name it, right? For so long that now that we're experiencing this reawakening, the Goddess Moon Salute balance or series is a really great way to get that Divine Feminine energy flow moving again. So it's very nourishing to the feminine energy, both of the body and of the psyche and of the spirit. So that's another reason that and Spirit has been nudging me for so long to teach folks how to use the Goddess Moon Salute to make these shifts and changes, because it's good for us physically in terms of our feminine energy and for our creative process, right? The Divine Feminine is the creative energy. Well, it's half of the creative energy of the universe, but it's the part that is involved in nurturing, that's involved in birthing, right? The new paradigm is being birthed at this time, and that's coming through all of us, right? And the more we can allow that to happen and let that feminine energy flow, the better it's going to be for the entire planet. So I have a picture, and I'll be sending you guys a PDF of, these are all the different poses that we're going to be going through. And please do not worry if you can't get into the pose exactly the way I do. I'm going to be showing you some modifications. I'm going to be showing you some props and some ways that you can modify the poses. If you're tight in a certain area or your balance is not as strong in a certain pose. So please don't worry about doing it exactly like this. As long as you move through the motions and you're breathing, as long as the breathing is moving, you're going to get what you need to get from these physical poses. So you're just going to do the best you can to make it through all these poses. And there are a couple where I've added a little bit extra, and I'm going to do the whole thing, but this is just for your reference if you want something to look at when you're doing your practice. And then I'll also send you, this is the list with like the names of the poses. So I'll be calling those out as I lead you through the poses, but you'll have this to refer to. So yes, don't worry about perfection. It's all about the process. Um, and with practice, it will become easier physically. I was pretty out of shape when I started doing this. I guess about 2.5 years ago, I started really doing a daily yoga practice because I had no choice. My back hurt so much that, you know, the universe created I'd always wanted a daily yoga practice that I never had been able to commit to, and circumstances eventually got me to the mat on a more regular basis. So I was pretty out of shape, and definitely, have made a lot of progress. So I know that you will too if you keep at it, and keep breathing. That's the main thing. Just keep breathing through the process. Okay, so I'm going to talk about the PDFs that I sent y'all and some of the details. The first thing that we do before we start any sort of limit clearing is create a goal. So in a private session, I would just talk with the client about, kind of what's in their face in the moment that's kind of been something difficult that they might want to work on, or in the positive sense of like a goal that they have that seems like it's time to be working on that. And so on your intake form, that's the place to write kind of comprehensive list of all of your goals in all of the different areas of life. And I will use that list to muscle test and see which goal you need to work on each week when I send you your statement. So that's the first thing that I'll be muscle testing, and I'll write it at the top of your paper. You'll see that it says most appropriate goal, and then the choices. So if I don't, like for those of you that didn't fill out an intake form, I muscle tested that most appropriate goal is your highest and best good. And for everybody that was strong, except for one person had already sent me an intake form. And so when highest and best good was weak, and I might have even asked, I think I asked Celia for you if one of the goals from your paper was, since I already had your paper, I asked about that first, and it was yes. It was a yes, strong response for that personalized goal that I wrote on your thing. And you can see where it says muscle test strong on the end of on the far right of the paper. So, the goal is at the top, and then the muscle test strong. So that tells you which is the goal you're working on. And then, for those of you, some of you had two things there. You had highest and best good checked, and then also something else checked. It was a few people, it just kind of popped into my head that an appropriate goal might be some extra motivation to, commit to this work and get going with it. And so some of you had both highest and best good and motivation to do the work. So that's basically all you need to know about the goals, I think, in the future. So you'll go ahead and fill out your intake form so I can use that. And then in the future, if you want to add anything, if something comes up for you that you want it to be your goal for your practice, the upcoming week, you can just message it to me or email it to me. I might try to create like a form or something, depending on how many people want to make changes. But for now, you can just send me a message to let me know, I want to add this, and I can add it to your intake form just so that it's there. And then I'll muscle test. If it's appropriate for you at that time, then that's the goal I'll use. And if it's not appropriate for you, then we'll do highest and best good or whatever other goal from your list is the most appropriate. All right, so what else do you guys need to know? All right, so just so you know, a lot of these statements that I'm using come from a comprehensive list of statements there's 8 categories, and then like 26 statements in each category, and I just go down the numbers. So I just ask if the most appropriate statement for the person's goal is in categories 1 through 8, and if the answer is yes, then I narrow it down just using the numbers, categories 1 through 4, categories 5 through 8, and keep narrowing it down until I get to the excuse me, the belief statement that you need. And these goals were written in the 80s, And there's a the health and body section category has a bunch of, or some of them, I don't know, a handful of statements that use the word slim. So like, I could be everything I want to be as a slim person, or it's safe and appropriate. Let's see, there's it's safe and appropriate to change the shape and weight of my body. Every part of me wants to be slim. So if any of those statements ever come up, I always make sure that we need to balance that statement exactly as written. And so sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. And then I'll, if the answer is no, I'll give you that belief statement. I can be everything I want to be as a fill in the blank. And like for one person, I did have like an intuitive hit that there was a word, I knew what word needed to go in there, and I muscle tested it, and that was strong. But then sometimes you'll also fill in that blank for yourself using your own intuition, or kind of whatever has been, in your face lately, or on your mind lately, or if you have questions about that, definitely message me and I can help you work through adding the words to the statements if that's something that you need to do. But for the most part, you're just going to have pretty straightforward statements. And usually, so there were a lot of people had 4, one person had 5, and one person had 3 statements. So I'm guessing that's kind of what I thought it was going to be like. Between 3 and 5-ish statements seems about right. And you're going to do one statement per side. So we'll get into that as I do the moon salute. But basically, you start here at the top and you go through and you do all these poses till you all get back to the beginning, and that's one round or one side. So like when you do it, you'll lead with, for example, I always lead with my left foot just because. And so, one time around leading with the left foot would be one side, and that's going to be what you use to balance statement number 1. And then you're going to go through the Goddess Moon Salute again, balancing statement number 2. And this time you'll lead with the opposite foot. So second side usually for me is leading with the right foot. And so that will be number 2. And then if all you have is 3, then you can just go ahead and move into, if all you have is 3 statements, then you'll want to just do number 3 with, the next round, leading with whatever foot you started with the first time. And then it's good to go ahead and do the other side, but you don't have to. If I don't have time and I'm only going to do 3 statements, I might do the side. So I start with my left foot because it's tighter coming from that side. And so doing that side one more time is just going to help with my flexibility. And each round is complete on its own. So if you do, a left, right, and a left, and then your Shavasana, that's okay. But you can always finish with a 4th round, even if you don't have a 4th statement. So I hope that made sense. So if you have, of course, 4 statements, it's going to be easy. You're just going to do left, right, left, right. And then if you have 5, I'm thinking that the 5th statement, if people have 5 statements, the 5th one is going to be I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity, which is a statement that you can just do a twist, which I'll show you at the end, before you do your resting pose at the end. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity, which everybody had that one last except one person. So, I think that's going to be a pretty common one to help this work be gentle and move at a pace that you can handle. The removing energy. So sometimes if you kind of overdo it and you do lots of belief statements in one day, or basically, too many close together, you can have some, kind of detox kinds of symptoms. And we can talk more about what those are, but the plan for this is that it's going to be gentle enough that you're not going to have that, and that integration belief statement is going to be helpful to kind of keep that going at a good pace. So if you have the integration belief statement, I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity, you can balance that just using a simple twist, like lying down on the floor, and I'll show you what to do. But yeah, so I think let me just make sure that's everything. Oh yeah, so at the bottom it says do these statements in the order listed, or do the statements according to your inner guidance. So if I forget to check one of those, I think I did that with one person, just do it in the order listed. And then if I remember to muscle test that, which I think I muscle tested it for the other person, but it just got left off the bottom. But if for some reason I forget to check one of those boxes, just do them in the order listed. Most of the time the order will be important. Sometimes doing them in the order that you're kind of guided to do them is going to be appropriate. So you can let me know if you have questions about that. Yeah, so if the word slim is in your, or something about changing the shape and the weight of your body is in your statements, just be aware that I did verify that's something that your higher self is asking for you to balance, and it has no bearing on any sort of judgment or agenda that I have in terms of the shape and weight of your body, right? So I just go by the numbers. I muscle test, and then I look it up and see what the statement is and write it down on your paper. So the last thing that I wanted to mention, I use the 8 categories. That's kind of the first place that I look for belief statements, just because they're so comprehensive, and it's just it's kind of the easiest source. The other place that I'll look for belief statements, if the answer is no when I ask, is the statement that the person needs to balance for this goal, is it in the 8 categories? If that's a no, then I'll ask about the Conscious Creation deck, which is on the Radiant Living page. You can go there and see all the cards, and there's like an album that has, I think this is the cover of that album. So they needed a statement from the repetition card, which is card number 22, and so then what I usually do is read the information on the card, and then whatever jumps out at me, I do have some belief statements that I've already written for some of those cards, so sometimes I'll muscle test the ones that I've already created for other clients or for myself in the process of doing this. But if not, I'll just use inner guidance and then muscle test the things that come to me for the statement. But I'm including the name of the card when you get a statement from that card, so that you can look that card up and read the info on that card, because there probably will be some more guidance for you, or some sort of message that you're needing to hear at that time, and that's why that card came up. So if it says repetition card or attraction card or whatever kind of card, number 22, number whatever, you can look it up on the Radiant Living page. Okay, so I think that's everything from your belief statement PDFs. Oh no, one more thing. This doesn't apply this time, but almost every time it's going to be important for you to, if you skipped last week's practice, to do the statements from last week before you do the current statements. So I will muscle test that for you each week. But if you're short on time and it says you can skip, you can skip ahead. And sometimes that might be the case, like if it's something that's really important for you to work on that week, and your higher self just knows that You don't have time but to do one session, and it's got to be this current week. But I will muscle test that each time. But even if you are able to skip, I would encourage you to go back and do any ones that you've skipped, just because there at one point your higher self was saying that you needed it, so it's gonna still always be needed. And I find that, and actually, I've heard other people say that once you kind of have once you're conscious of a belief that you need to shift, and just getting your statements and reading them is going to make you more conscious, even if you weren't already, that you needed to shift a belief having to do with that. But once we become conscious of it, and then we don't shift it in the subconscious, that you can notice that things will kind of sometimes go a little haywire, just to like get your attention, like, oh yeah, I need to balance that belief on, whatever the thing is, safe, fun, and easy to make lots of money, or whatever the thing, that the topic that the balance was on. So I think that's everything. Somebody let me know if there's something I skipped. Message me and tell me what I didn't cover, and I can, I'll send an email or something to answer any questions y'all have about the paper. All right, so I think we're ready to do our limit clearing process, our first one. So I was just gonna find myself a statement to do. So I'm just gonna walk through the process kind of quickly, of muscle testing for a goal, a belief statement, and then permission to balance that. So these are things that I've already muscle tested for you before I send you your belief statement. So the first thing I'll just ask is the most appropriate. So first I would go into surrogacy for you, and then muscle test. My name is Christina. So if I was in surrogacy for you, I would muscle test your name, and if I'm strong for that, then I'm in surrogacy for you and can muscle test for you. So the most appropriate goal for me at this time is just general highest and best good, and that's strong. There's an additional goal that I need to add to that at this time, and that's weak. Okay, so that means that the goal for this session is just highest and best good. So the most appropriate belief statement for me to balance in order to achieve my goal for today is in categories 1 through 8. And that's strong, so I'll just keep going. 1 through 4, 5 through 8. Category 5, Category 6, Category 7, Category 8. All right, Category 6, statements 1 through 12, 13 through 26. Category 6. And all right, so I'm getting weak. I'm going to do it one more time. Category 6 is strong. Statements 1 through 12, 13 through 26. And those are both weak. So that means, Category 6 is health and body. And there are only 25 statements. So when I get that the category is yes for 6, but then a no for all the statements, that just means I need to make up a statement about in that category. So I'm just gonna do something general. And it's funny, I don't know what's not covered in these statements. I would have to read through those. I think this is my higher self wanting me to show y'all the process of like creating a statement. So I will just do something like, let's see, this category is health and body, so I'm just going to do something like my body has perfect health. All right, so my body has perfect health is the most appropriate statement for me to balance at this time. Okay, so that's testing strong. So I'll just ask, just to be sure, I'll often ask, there are additional words we need to add to this belief statement. No, that was weak. All right, so what did I just say? My body has perfect health. So that's the belief statement. So I would, put that on your on your paper, and then go back and muscle test. The next belief statement that this person needs to balance is in categories 1 through 8, yes or no, and then go through the process until I have all of your belief statements. And then we muscle test. This is the most appropriate belief for creating my highest and best good now. The system needs sensory clarification for this belief, and that was a no. So before it was a yes. I should probably fix my, I don't know if y'all can see. Okay, so no to sensory clarification. The system can make this change now using a goddess moon salute balance. All right, and that is strong. Yeah, so I've yet to find a belief that can't be balanced with the goddess moon salute. So I'm going to adjust the camera. So we muscle tested for the goal. We muscle tested for the statements. We got permission from the higher self, and we verified that this belief can be shifted using the goddess moon salute. So we're ready to go into our balance. Higher process. I've got some props nearby, so I guess I'll go over those first. This is a yoga block. You can also use like a big thick book or a firm box. I have just like a stool. This is a good kind of prop to use if you can't reach your hand all the way to the floor. You can use the block. You can use the stool, a little kid chair, like from a little kid table and chair set. You can use that, and then that has another, layer level. This is like if you have a really hard time with lunges, you could kind of sit on the chair like that, because we'll be doing, and we'll twist a little bit like that in a lunge. So if you have a difficulty with lunges, you can use a chair like that. And then really, one way to do it that might work out for you is to just kind of be like up against the sofa. So the poses are with your legs wide, and if you just have your back kind of close to the sofa, then you can use that if you need it. You have literally something to fall back on if you lose your balance. And then also, like in the revolved pose, you can kind of hold on to the couch and have it there. You could have your prop right like here, and then you've got the couch there if you need it. Those are just some ideas of some modifications that you can do, and I'll mention them in while we're going through the sequence. I'll just have these nearby. Okay, so you're going to begin your moon salute just in mountain pose. Feet are together. You're standing as tall as you can. You got your hands in prayer position, or you can have your palms separated if you like that better. But either way, palms are facing each other, and you just begin. So the breath is an important part to get the energy moving, to create that state of union. We use the breath for a lot of different reasons. But so the breath is important, and you're going to want to take a few breaths while you kind of get centered, and memorize your statement. Don't read it from the paper. But go ahead and get it in your mind. Even if it's difficult to say, it's common that if there's something that you need to balance, that it will be difficult to remember it. So don't be surprised if that happens, and just keep at it until you can remember it well enough to not use your cheat sheet. So you're just going to say your statement with your eyes open but looking down at the ground. And let me think if I can remember my statement. My body has perfect health. So you want to use the breath and say the statement with the breath. So I always inhale first, say the statement, and then finish the exhale. My body has perfect health. My body has perfect health. My body has perfect health. And so then you can say it a couple of times silently. And you can just use your intuition on this part. If you just want to say it one time out loud and one time silently, that might be enough. If you're having a hard time remembering the whole statement, then you probably want to say it a few more times. But when you feel ready to begin, you're just going to inhale. Oh, so first, sorry, this is important. You're going to interlace the fingers, kind of like steeple, like that song from If Anybody Went to Church. Or I guess, anyway, the steeple fingers are what we're going to do when we're doing this crescent moon pose. And when I say opposite interlace, that means undo and go make it the weird way, like the opposite thumb and fingers. Does that make sense? So you're going to switch that each time, and it feels weird, and it's going to be kind of hard to get used to for some of us, so just keep at it. Start with whatever's the easy way with steeple fingers. So you've already said your statement in prayer position a few times, and then you'll just get those steeple fingers ready. Inhale tall and exhale to the side. Inhale tall and then exhale to the side. So that's crescent moon, and then you're going to do the opposite interlace of the fingers. And then the same thing. Inhale tall, exhale into crescent moon. Inhale tall, and exhale into crescent moon. And however much you can bend to the side, no self-judgment, just doing the best you can. And keep the breath moving. All right, so next pose is the goddess pose with wide feet. So I'm leading with my left foot, so I'll just call that your lead foot, and your other foot's going to be the follow foot. So you're going to lead with whichever foot you want, and then really step wide into the goddess pose. So if you can't get, I don't even have the 90-degree angle here. That's pretty difficult, right? So that's fine. If this is as far down as you can go, that's fine. Go down as far as you can. Spread the fingers. You're breathing. Sometimes I'll put my hands on my knees and kind of give a little twist. This first round, often I spend a little more time warming up. All right, so it's the fierce goddess. And then we get moving to five-pointed star. And the picture has it like this, but I like it. We just want to be spread wide. Wide fingertips. Long spine. Take a couple breaths here. Really sending the energy outward in this pose. And then we'll move into triangle next. So you're going to take your following foot and you're turning it inward, turning it towards your lead foot. And then you're going to come into triangle. So if this is as far down as you can go, just don't put your hands on your knee. You can put your hand here. You can keep going down the shin. Keep going all the way down to the foot, maybe even to the floor. And if you need some support, you can get that ready and have it ready for your triangle pose. So you're still breathing. And I'll go more into kind of body mechanics of these poses. Right now, just do the best you can. So you just want to have both legs straight but not locked. And then when you come into your triangle pose, you really kind of tilt. You want to tilt your hips and really lead with that front rib cage. Or I should say kind of the front side ribs. All right, so you're breathing here. Sometimes I'll do a few like circles with my arm if I'm feeling stiff and just want a little bit kind of get those fluids moving in the body, right? It gets the energy moving. Also, sometimes I'll just relax my neck, move that around a little bit. All right, so from here, we're going to go into the pyramid pose. So you're going to bring your other hand to meet, the top hand to meet the bottom. So if you've got your, I'll get a chair so you can see. So you might want to be like here for your pyramid. And you just go down as far as you can. So again, the legs are straight. This back foot is turned in, pointing toward the, turned in even more, pointing toward the front. And then you just come down as far as you can. So here, also, I'll kind of maybe wiggle a little bit, take a few breaths. Sometimes I'll even do a little bit of a cat-cow. And then moving into revolve triangle. So this is like the opposite. We were in triangle here where your front side hand was on the ground, and revolve triangle is just the opposite. And so again, if you need to have that couch nearby so you can kind of lean on the couch, that's fine. You can have, like this hand here. All right, so that's the revolve triangle. So a few breaths here. And then usually I'll just stretch another second in pyramid, and then you go down into your lunge. So in this one, one of the most important things is to get a big wide stretch here. So it's really common that people will come into this. You can see how it's like a 90-degree angle in both of my knees. We do want a 90-degree angle in the front knee, and you want to keep that front foot that front ankle underneath the knee. So you don't want that knee to go past your ankle. But the back leg needs to go back as far as you can go. And so again, if you need a chair under you, like this little kid chair is pretty perfect to really come, still getting that wide stretch, but I can use this. If I can't reach my hands to the floor, I can just have my hands on this chair. All right, so here you're gonna take a few breaths. Sometimes I go side to side a little bit, just work out any kinks. Inhale and exhale, a little bit of cat-cow sometimes. Just whatever feels good in this pose. And then from here, we're gonna move from the lunge. Oh wait, you know what? This is important. We need to do a twist here too. So we did the triangle facing this way, and then the revolve triangle, and so we're doing the same thing in the lunge. So you just want to, give a good inhale, that arm tall. You can stay here for a couple of breaths if you want to. And then inhale. All right, so from here, we're going to turn the front toes, or the lead toes, forward a little bit, and then turn that other leg. So we're coming into this kind of forward-facing lunge or half squat. And so here, if you got to sit your bottom down on the ground, that's okay. You just do it like this and bring your hands to prayer position here. If you're here and you've got your hands on the ground and you can't get them up off the floor to do prayer position, that's fine too. Just stay here. So you're just breathing into any tight spaces that you feel in the body. Just getting as close to the pose as you can. Don't fret. If you can't get into the full squat, or just modify it. Use pillows. You can use folded blankets. That's a good thing to use. Like to keep kind of under your bottom. And so then the full squat is here. So you want to just lengthen your spine as much as you can. Again, the full squat, if you have to be sitting down on your bottom, that's okay. If you can't get your hands, from the floor, that's okay. Just get as deep into the squat as you can. And here you're going to say the statement a few more times. My body has perfect health. So inhale, say the statement, finish the exhale. My body has perfect health. My body has perfect health. And so now a few times silently, and eye position here is open but looking down at the ground. And hands are just in prayer position, or you can just have the fingertips together, whichever you choose. So just saying the statement silently a couple of times with the breath, always with the breath. And then you can just send that, the lead leg goes out to the side, and then we come into the other side of the squat, right? And this side might be different. This side, you might not be able to get your hands off the ground where you could on the other side, and that's fine. You're just going to wherever you can go, breathing into it. As long as you're still breathing, and you're not holding your breath and tensing up too much, things are moving, energy's moving, the shifts are happening, and you're creating that hemispheric congruence with the brain. That's why we're doing both sides. That's why we do the twist. The regular triangle and the revolved triangle. All right, so now you can just put your hands down on the floor, and what I do is just kind of think about flipping my straight leg over onto my knee, and then I bring my this leg forward so that ankle's underneath the knee. You don't want to be have that knee too far forward, and then really back up that back leg, that back knee, because you want to feel that stretch here in the front. This is really to open up the hips, right? So you can move side to side. Take a few breaths. And then we'll do the twist here. So inhaling that arm up. Take a couple breaths. And then into the twist here. And it's fine. If your hand can't get that far up, if all you can do is kind of reach out like that, whatever you can do, you're just doing the best you can, and don't worry. As long as you're giving it a shot, you're moving energy. All right, so to come back into the pyramid for this side, you just tuck your back toes and then press into the floor and scoot yourself back up. So again, you're having your props handy before you come up might be something you need to do. And get your props ready, and then come up into your pyramid, and then just come down as far as you can. Still breathing. You can do a few CatCow spinal flexes here. Just going as deeply as you can into that stretch. Sometimes here I'll do a little spinal wiggle, shoulder hips wiggle, just breathing. And getting that energy to move. All right, so from here, I'll do it with the props. So we're going to go into the revolve triangle first. So you'll inhale up, and as long as you can breathe, just go as far as you can breathe. If you start holding your breath when your hand's here, then just stay there and breathe there. And eventually you'll be able to keep breathing and keep moving yourself on up into the whole revolve triangle. And then, so you really want to turn these hips out into this triangle. A few breaths if you want to do some circles. Whatever feels good. All right, and then in order to come up, you really want to press the feet into the ground. And so you're going to then turn the toes out. So we move straight into five-pointed star. Really sending that energy out. And then sitting down into the fierce warrior. Fingers are wide. If you want to do a lion pose with your mouth, you stick the tongue out, really open the jaw. Eyes are wide open. So it's a fierce pose. All right, so breathing here. If you want to work out any kinks, you can do that. All right, and so the last little bit is we're going to bring, so you lead with the same leg that you started with before. Bring that in, back into steeple fingers. Inhale tall, exhale into the crescent. Inhale tall, exhale into the crescent. And then switch the interlace of the fingers. Inhale tall and exhale. And exhale. Inhale tall. And then the hands come into prayer position or fingertips together. Chin is parallel to the floor. Eyes looking down low. And just say the statement a few more times. My body has perfect health. My body has perfect health. My body has perfect health. So I'm going to continue silently. Eyes are still open. And doing it with the breath. So you can stay here as long as you need to. Just say that statement until you feel like it's clear, right? There's no resistance. And generally, by the time you get around the whole moon salutation, most of the resistance is going to be gone. You'll probably feel more resistance in the beginning when you're saying your statement. You can notice. That's a good time to notice. Like, how did you feel at the beginning compared to how you feel now in this very same mountain pose, right? Noticing just what you notice about your body, about how you feel, about any sort of release that you had. And so at this point, this is when we would muscle test the statement to make sure that it's strong now. My body has perfect health, and so that is strong. And so I'll be muscle testing that for you after, like when I'm testing your statements for the next week, I'll just test your old statements and make sure they're strong. If they're not strong, I'll probably contact you, and maybe you'll say, well, I didn't balance them yet, or maybe you'll say something happened, you know. So we'll just be in contact, but you can, it's safe to assume that 99% of the time your statement's going to be strong. So you can go ahead and celebrate. This is a very important part of the process. I learned this from the autism therapy program that we use for Tristan. And celebration is, so first, let's celebrate it. And you have to do it as silly and as happy and as fun as you can, because you really want to send your system the message that this is a wanted change, that it's kind of like we've created new neural pathways doing this balance, and we want to, it's like the high five, right? So if I'm doing a session with somebody in person or online, we'll usually do a high five. But happy dance is usually a good one, and really anything, you know, just some clapping and a wahoo is good, but put some oomph behind it. So you want to celebrate your statement every time. And now I forgot what I was going to say about celebrating, but I didn't want to delay the celebration because it's important to do it right after you do the balance. So that was your first level up, limit clearing process. And I'm going to do the other side so that you have, you know, one side and the other to follow along with. So you'll find your second statement. Oh, and you'll want to check off. I have a column for you. If you print out your paper, you can check off that you've done that statement. And what I do is just write an L, like if I did it on the left side, or an R if I did it for the right side, as just, you know, check. Every once in a while you'll get a statement where you have to do both sides for the same statement. But so far, all the statements have been able to be balanced with this process. So we're ready to move on to side number 2. All right, so getting centered, get your statement in your mind. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. So now I'm going to do it silently just a bit. Eyes are still open and looking down at the floor. Still saying the statement with the breath. Inhale. And say the statement silently as I exhale. Finish the exhale completely before I do the next inhale. And so now we'll do steeple fingers, inhale tall. If you want to say the statement extra, you can say it as you exhale to each side. That's just optional, but sometimes you'll be inspired to do that. So opposite interlace of the fingers, switch those fingers. Inhale tall and get ready to move into the fierce warrior. And oops. All right, so coming into that pose. Sometimes if I'm listening to music while I'm doing my stuff, I'll do a little wiggle. So if all you can stay here is one breath, that's fine. Stay here one breath and then shoot it back up into star pose. Really extending the energy out in all directions. Couple of breaths. All right, and then you'll bring your following toes inward. And coming down. Oh yeah, I got a prop here, so I'll come into my prop. And just for fun, try to be good with my form. So you want your hand, you want to have, if you can, have kind of a straight line through the spine. The goal is to have it, parallel to the floor, but of course, if you're not there yet, that's cool. All right, so you're inhaling, really reaching that arm up to the sky. And then we'll exhale the hand down and turn into pyramid pose. So you're bringing those toes in a little bit more. I like to do a few spinal flexes first. Maybe even wiggle my shoulders and hips a little bit before I go all the way down into the pyramid. So continuing to breathe. And so your breath is your clue, where your stopping point is. When you're not able to continue breathing, then you need to back up a little bit to where you can breathe freely, even if it's some work. That's okay. That means you're moving good energy. But you do want to be able to breathe. So just come to your point, however far down you can go, and still breathe. And then we'll move into the revolve triangle. So really pressing that back heel down. It'll want to come up off the floor. And it's okay if it comes up, but just think about reaching back through that heel. All right, so however many breaths you can stay here, that's fine. And then coming back down into pyramid. And then into the lunge. So really reaching that back leg back. So you got a 90-degree angle in the front knee, directly over the ankle, and then that back knee as far back as it can go. Get whatever support you need if you need to have some support. And then I like to wiggle it a little bit. A few breaths with some spinal flexes. And then again, a twist. So we'll just do revolved. And then we'll come. Oh, and another modification, if you just want to have your elbow on this front knee, you can do it like that. That's another way you can do your twist. All right, so where are we? All right, so after this, we turn these lead toes frontwards and then sit down into your half squat. All right, so moving into the full squat. Get there however you need to. Need a pillow under your bum or a folded blanket. That's a good way to do it. All right, so remember, we're birthing the new paradigm. So we're releasing any energy, any resistance. Sometimes tears come during this phase of it. Sometimes they come throughout the whole thing, but this is a really good time to release energy down into Mother Earth, right? Give it to your mama. She'll hold it. She'll transmute it. And you're just breathing here, lengthening your spine as best you can, and then say the statement a few times. So remember to do it with the breath. Inhaling. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. And so a few times silently, eyes are still open and looking down. All right, so we're ready to keep going. We're halfway through. And send that other leg out. So we're sending our lead leg out. Coming into the squat. It's okay if we can't balance on this side as well. We'll support ourselves if we need to. So a few breaths here. And these two, the two half lunges are a good place to say the statement additional times if you want to. Not necessary, but sometimes you will feel like you want to say it more often, and it's fine to add more times. All right, so bring that front leg, or sorry, this is the follow leg. But yeah, you want to bring it so that it's underneath your, directly underneath your knee. Send that back knee back as far as you can. Really open up the hips. Sometimes I'll even put my hand on my knee and then come down a little bit just to get a little more opening. And then twist into the other side. All right, so to get out of this, you're going to tuck your back toes and then press the feet into the floor. And if you need some help, just grab your prop and press. Come up into your pyramid. So a few spinal flexes with the breath. Maybe a wiggle in the spine. So go as far down into the pyramid as you can. Again, this side might be different. You might not be able to go as far as the other side, and so that's fine. Just find your limit, and then breathe there. Breathe into the limit. You can even think about sending the breath into the spots of the body that feel really tight. Just imagine them kind of expanding with the breath. Imagine the breath carrying away some of that tension. Expanding on the inhale, releasing on the exhale. And then we'll move into the revolved triangle next. So pressing that back heel down as much as you can. Modifying this however you have to. Even if you feel like it doesn't even hardly resemble what I'm doing, just do the best you can. Just go slow, take care of yourself, ease your way into it, ease your way out of it. getting that energy moving. All right, so we're pressing. So if you have a hard time getting up, you can kind of just don't put pressure on your knee. Toes are turned out now and really sending the energy out. Sitting down into our fierce goddess. Really stretching in the jaw there. Good one for a throat chakra release too. All right, so we'll go with our lead foot back into mountain, lifting up, inhaling, steeple fingers, exhaling to the crescent moon. You can say the statement here if you want to. And exhale to the other side. Inhale back to center. Switch the interlace of the fingers. And exhale to the side. Say the statement here is optional. And exhaling to the other side. Saying the statement if you want to. Inhaling tall again. And then exhaling back into prayer position or hands like this, chins parallel to the floor, eyes are down low, and you're going to say the statement however many more times you need to until you feel like you're done. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. I love myself unconditionally. Alright, so I'll muscle test it. I love myself unconditionally. So you're just going to pretend like yours is testing strong, and I will verify that for you. And then you celebrate. So it's time to celebrate loving yourself unconditionally, or whatever the thing is you just balanced. And have some fun. Alrighty, so if you have more statements, you'll do another side, and you can move more quickly through the poses if you need to, if you're short on time. I like to just spend some time in each one and breathe and, use that time to work out any physical kinks, get the physical juices flowing, right? Our synovial fluid and all the fluids that are moving through our bodies become stimulated, and the lymph flows better. There's so many physical benefits, but we're also getting the chi, the prana, the life force energy that circulates throughout our system. We're getting that moving as well. So I do like to spend a few minutes in each pose if I have time. All right, so you're going to do those two or however many rounds of the Goddess Moon Salute that you need to do for however many statements you have that week. And then your last pose, I hope y'all are going to be able to see me, is going to be a twist. So you just want to lie on one side. All right. And you can have both knees bent. Sometimes I like to have one leg straight out a little bit because it helps that side stay. And then a gentle way to go into your twist is to kind of use your hand as if it was, so pretend you're lying on the face of a clock, and so you're just going to move your hand as if it was one of the arms of the clock up and around and over into the twist as far as you can go. So if you can't, like here, this arm takes a while to finally reach the floor. If your arm doesn't reach the floor, then you can get a pillow or something to rest it on. I just kind of let it hang in the air until, as I breathe, it'll eventually go down. So if you're using the twist to balance that integration statement at the end, I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. You can say it a few times in this twist over here, so you'll want to say it 3 times out loud with your eyes open and 3 times silently with your eyes closed. So I'll just demonstrate that. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. So that was 3 times out loud. Now 3 times silently, still using the breath. Inhale, say the statement, finish the exhale. And then to come out, you can just bring that arm back up along through 12 o'clock and all the way over. And lie here for a few breaths if you need to, and then you can just bring your knees to your chest and roll yourself over to the other side. And do the other side. I'll just switch so that. All right, so hands on a clock face. So really inhale here at 12 o'clock. And then exhale your way over as far as you can go into the twist. No judgment. It'll be different on each side. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. So now 3 times silently with eyes closed. Remember to use the breath. So you can stay in this twist longer if you want to. It's a really great restorative pose. So good for your digestion. Gives all of your internal organs a massage. So when you're ready to come out, just inhale that arm back up to 12 o'clock and then exhale back to the side. Okay, so after you've done both sides, you can just roll over onto your back. Give your knees a little squeeze. If you can't get your knees all the way up, you can have your feet on the floor. You just want to have everything uncrossed. You can bring the hands into prayer position or fingertips together, and you'll just say the statement a couple more times with your eyes looking down low. So you want to do, I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. I integrate these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. If your knees are up, you can do it like this. All right, and so now it's time to celebrate. Integrating these changes with ease, grace, and clarity. High five. All right, so next pose is Shavasana. And so it's really great to end your practice each time with a twist and then Shavasana. Shavasana is the corpse pose. So even if all you can do is 1 minute, do a minute of corpse pose. You want your palms facing the ceiling. Just let your toes, y'all can see my toes, right? Toes are flopping outward, just relaxing. Let your shoulders fall back to the floor. So you can set a timer if you've got a short amount of time. Just set yourself a timer for however many minutes you can do. And then breathe and let the tension in the body just melt away. You can send it into Mother Earth for transmutation and release. Okay, so hooray for your first complete limit clearing process using Goddess Moon Salute. I know some of you have done other kinds of balances before. But yeah, that's the Goddess Moon Salute balance. And this is designed to be a gentle start. So you shouldn't have too much in the way of like those kind of physical detox symptoms that I mentioned. If you do, let me know, and I can do some balances for you in surrogacy to help you through that, get you over the hump on that. But what you can do, no matter what happens, whether you feel nothing or whether, you feel some intense emotional release, or sometimes it can be like a physical release, right? And it can come out as like a rash, a skin eruption. There's lots of ways that it can come out. And that's good, right? We want it to come out. But if it's coming out too fast and it's too intense for you, then let me know, and I'll do some balances for you in surrogacy to help that move. But you can also, and other ways that you can facilitate the energy moving is any kind of physical detoxing. So if you want to do like a juice fast for one day, or even 12 hours, just anything, whatever feels good to you. An Epsom salt bath. Add a whole box of baking soda to your Epsom salt bath, and that's a really good way to, it's a grounding, but it's also a good detox. Any kind of gross motor movements, so running, walking, dancing, more yoga, putting your favorite song on and dancing around the living room, like balls to the wall, that is a great way to move some energy. Sometimes you'll feel really sleepy after doing some of these limit clearing processes. So if you try to honor that if you can, and maybe even try to plan to do this maybe after the kids are in bed, so that then you can go to bed. And if getting sleepy is something that you notice happening afterwards, usually it won't happen all the time. It'll just be kind of random. I don't know anybody that happens to all the time. So it's a gentle start. Some of you that have been working on your conscious beliefs longer, and even those of you who have been working on your subconscious beliefs longer, might find that you want to do this more often. So go for it. If you have belief statements that you want to do, go for it. If you want me to create more belief statements for you, you can do the 2 times a week program, and that might change. So one of the things that inspired this whole program was that I do it for my husband when he needs me to do create statements and make his list, but I also was doing it for another client we had been doing private sessions, but she needed some support during the week in between appointments. And it's because she's going through such an intense time in her life. There's a lot, everything is an upheaval, like in every category in her life. So she's doing the 7-day plan, which you can do like you can use that plan as a 5-day plan. You don't have to do it every single day. When it's the 7-day plan, it's you can condense it easily into 4 or 5 days. And so what I'm saying is, if there's a time in your life when you are needing more support and you could just change for 1 month to do a different plan, just to have kind of some constant limit clearing as you're, if you're in a time of your life that you're bumping up against more limits than usual, then that might be a time that you need to do this process more often. So you can just use this video each time. I'll make a new one at some point in the next, probably, I guess I'm going to see what kind of questions I get before I decide exactly how long I'll wait in between videos. But definitely send me your questions, email, Facebook Messenger. You can text me. I don't know if I put my phone number on I should put my phone number on something so that y'all can text me if you need to. And so definitely reach out if you need any kind of support in between your balances or leading up to doing these. If there's anything I left off, let me know, and I will just look forward to next week going into surrogacy for each of you, because that was a really humbling and emotional process for me this week. It was the realization of something that I've been waiting for a very long time. And so I'm really excited for y'all to be a part of it, and really appreciate the opportunity to, it's a privilege to do this work with people. So let me know how it's going, and I'll send you all of the PDFs that you need, and let me know if you have questions. All right, see y'all soon.